Hello, I'm Congressman Ritchie Torres, and I'm launching a series known as Bronx Tales, in which we chronicle the stories of unsung heroes in the Bronx. The story of the Bronx is not only a story of struggle, but it's also one of overcoming, because overcoming is what we do here in the Bronx. One Bronx tale that captures the resilience of the Bronx, the fighting spirit of its people, is the story of my friend, Jose Hernandez, who joins us today. Jose, welcome to Bronx Tales.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
So what is your connection to the Bronx?
I was born right here in the Bronx, believe it or not, 44 years ago yesterday.
Wow. You age well.
Thank you. Right here, Bronx, Lebanon, where I think is Bronx Center now.
Yeah.
To Puerto Rican parents, and been here ever since.
Now you and I have something in common. We're both products of wise Latinas.
Oh yeah.
I know you draw inspiration from your mother. So tell me about the struggles that your mother overcame in life, and what impact did she have on you?
So my mother, throughout, her time here, I guess she came here as a young adult. She came here at 12 years old, not speaking a word of English. She pretty much grew up here in the 70s, 80s. I was born in 1980 along with my father, but along that lines, my father kind of went away, wasn't around in my life much, so my mother struggled to raise 3 small children on her own. And unfortunately, in, say, 88, when I was about 8 years old, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. And at the time, we weren't living in the Bronx, we were living in Puerto Rico. She was given 6 months to live. We came back as a family, back to the United States. She had a bunch of surgeries and she survived.
How long after?
She survived 13 years. And I decided in 1995, at the age of 15 years old, to go swimming at one of the local beaches here in the Bronx Orchard. And I broke my neck, C5. And that was interesting. It was a struggle to adjust. Very, very long struggle.
When you broke your neck, like, what were you thinking and feeling? What were the thoughts and emotions running through your mind?
What was it? It's such a change, such a drastic change. One moment you were walking and had complete independence, and the next moment, you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
And that first year, you're completely just recovering. Like, I had no movement in my arms at all for at least the first month. And fortunately, I gained some mobility back. I can move my arms, but no movement in my hands. So, readjusting to life that way, it was a big struggle.
And how young were you?
I was about a month away from my 15th birthday.
Wow. So 15, you sustained a spinal injury. Your mother was abandoned by your father, raising 3 children, battling cancer.
She battled cancer with the surgery and chemotherapy.
Yeah.
She was cancer-free, but not unscathed. She had a surgery that, a complete hysterectomy. She had a colostomy bag, and she had to catheterize to avoid. So yeah, to say that she had her struggles. But through her strength, I gained strength, because in a sense, her experiencing that kind of prepared me for my own struggles and my own experiences.
Most of us would have crumbled under the weight of the challenges that you've had to face in life. In spite of the challenges you've had to face, and maybe even because of them, you became the first in your family to graduate from college. How did you manage to put yourself through college despite everything you had gone through?
Funny thing enough, my mother, she always raised us to be right, and be respectful. So when I went to a rehabilitation center, a lot of people saw things in me that I didn't see in myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, even here being with you, you saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So when I was in rehab, I was approached by one of the vocational therapists. It's like, hey, you finished high school now. Do you have any plans for the future? I had no intentions on going to college. It wasn't something that was regular in my family. My father didn't go to college. My mother didn't go to college. I think they were, really early on high school dropouts. So with the help of the rehabilitation, a vocational therapist, she's like, hey, come and bring the application and, we will go through it. So I went and I got accepted to Bronx Community College.
Yeah.
I graduated there with an associate's degree in information technology with a 3.8 GPA.
Wow. And then after Bronx Community College?
I got a scholarship to go to St. John's University.
Wow.
And I graduated there with a bachelor's degree in computer science.
Wow. I mean, your life is a powerful example of turning pain into purpose. Mm-hmm. When I first met you, you were and still are the president of the New York City chapter of the United Spinal Association. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to become an advocate for those with disabilities?
Well, becoming an advocate after a disability is kind of something natural. Yeah. And unfortunate at the same time. Because if you're advocating, that means that there's something lacking in your life and the lives of many people with disabilities or in the general public. So initially, when you become paralyzed, you're just advocating for yourself, for your services, for home care, for just, your equipment. And then you start looking out broader. And I was chosen to go to the first role on Capitol Hill for United Spinal Association, where I went to DC, and there was a group of us, 150 individuals with disabilities from different parts of the country, all converging on Washington, DC. And that was one of the most powerful things I've ever done. I'm actually getting emotional just thinking about it, because it led to where I'm at right now, sitting here next to you in the studio. I was in Washington, D.C., a poor Puerto Rican from the Bronx. Excuse me.
But rich in spirit.
Yeah, it's emotional because, again, I'm in Washington, D.C., and never thought in a million years that I would be there. And I'm a poor Puerto Rican sitting in the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx. I'm in D.C. advocating not only for myself, but for folks back at home.
And when was the first time you went to D.C.? At what age?
30 or 20. It was like 12 years ago. I was in my 30s probably.
We both come from the Bronx, which historically has been underserved by every level of government, including the federal government. And suppose you were speaking to a Bronx resident who said, I'm not going to bother voting because my vote does not count. I'm not going to bother speaking out because my voice does not count. What would you tell that person? How would you overcome that cynicism about our politics?
I've known the importance of voting since I was 18. As soon as I was able to register, I registered. And we're not without a voice. It's critical, especially now, given the political landscape that we're in right now, to make your voices heard. If we don't make our voices heard and go out there and vote, nothing will change. And like I said, it's more critical now than ever to make sure that, we have our voices heard and we have our chances to really vote in the politicians like yourself that really hear the voices that that shape the Bronx, that shape our communities, that shape our futures.
I mean, you're living proof that you can have an impact as an everyday citizen. Now, you've been a passionate champion not only of those with disabilities, but also those in need of home care. Why is home care so important to you? It's one of the most important issues affecting our country, but why does it matter to you?
Well, as a person with a disability myself, I require 24-hour home care to be able to successfully live my life independently in the community. Without that home care, I live my life in an institution. And one thing that I know that our institutions, like nursing homes, are full of lost potential. We have so many individuals there that can get educated, that can have an independent life in the community. But unfortunately, because of circumstances, the lack of home care, the lack of family support, they're trapped in nursing homes. And I would love to go with you to one of these nursing homes so you can see, you're like, wow, you're 25 years old and you're in a nursing home, and you can live successfully out in the community, but there's not enough housing, there's not enough affordable, accessible housing, there's not enough home care out there to enable to provide for these individuals to live independently. And also the wages are so low that a lot of our home care workers are going onto different industries. You can work at McDonald's or Burger King and flip burgers and make the same amount of money. And you're coming into our homes, taking care of our bodies. My PA helps me with bowel, bladder, getting dressed. I wouldn't look this good today if it wasn't for their help.
Well, your home care worker did a great job.
Thank you.
I think as a society, we are catastrophically underinvesting in home care. Medicaid's waiting list for home care has more than 800,000 people in need. My grandmother had a home care worker toward the end of her life when her health was deteriorating, and the home care worker became a member of the family. And so was there a home care worker in your life who became a member of your family who had a profound impact on you?
Yes. And as we alluded to earlier, my father wasn't really in my life. Yeah. My mother passed away when I was 22, right before my 22nd birthday. So I kind of just figured it out. But about, I can't believe it's been that long. Maybe 15 years ago, Fausto Romero, by chance, he was just covering for another PA that was going on vacation, came into my life. He was new into the country. He came here to better his family. His wife was here a long time. And he started working with me. He was with me for some of the most impactful things in my life, like going to Washington, D.C. He went with me to Washington, D.C. 7, 8 times. Yeah. He was with me when I got my first job. He was with me when I got my license, like driver's license. And he would have been there for the birth of my child. Unfortunately, he died at the beginning of the pandemic, making minimum wage to a state that never considered them essential. And I would hope, I wish that our government uplifted our home care workers, because in turn you would be uplifting the people that they take care of. And it's not the case.
Well, we're going to fight to build a society where we recognize the essential value of our home care workers. We're celebrating the 24th anniversary of the American for Disabilities Act, which is
34th.
34th, I'm sorry, 34th. You corrected me. We're celebrating the 34th anniversary of the American Disabilities Act, which is one of the most landmark pieces of legislation in American history. You sustained a spinal injury in 1995. Since 1995, what progress have we made as a society toward making America more accessible, and what progress do we need to make?
We are definitely making a lot of progress. Transportation is more readily available. I can get in a cab now, where as 10 years ago, that wasn't easily attainable. The MTA is making strides in making the subways more accessible. They already have an 100% accessible bus fleet. With your help and other congressmen in New York, we're making the Bronx more accessible through getting elevators in different parts of the Bronx. There aren't enough elevators in the Bronx. I'm fortunate where I live at, I have access to 2 of them, but if you go deeper into the Bronx, there aren't many. So yeah, we're making a lot of progress, but we need to ensure that people with disabilities aren't institutionalized for no reason but being disabled. And that's happening way too much across the country.
And as you noted, I partnered with the MTA and Senator Schumer and Congressman Adriano Espaillat to secure more than $100 million to make the subway stations more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of our subway stations remain inaccessible to those with disabilities decades after the ADA. And so what kind of impact does that have on those who are struggling with disability?
It limits our access to our great city. If you want to go down to Battery Park or you want to enjoy a day at the Bronx Zoo with your child, getting there can be difficult. You have to find an accessible route, and taking the bus from the Bronx to enjoy the beach at Coney Island, that's not possible, or it takes extremely long. It would be way easier to jump on the D train and go all the way down to Coney Island and enjoy the day. But for many with disabilities, you would have to call paratransit services a day before. So your life is spontaneous. Your life is structured in a way that, you have to plan everything. And that's not how life works. Even institutions, like if I had to get to St. John's University from the Bronx using mass transit, I couldn't imagine doing that. And I've done it before, I just don't remember the route.
So, whether it's going to the park or going to the beach, just the pleasures that most people take for granted are beyond the reach of those with disabilities.
And it's not equitable. It is definitely outside of the reach. We struggle a lot as people, individuals with disabilities, to just integrate in society, restaurants, just institutions where you would figure that would be accessible aren't. So 34 years after the ADA, we've made progress. I'm not going to take away anything from the progress that we have made, but we still have a long way to go.
So Jose, you're a friend. You're an inspiration to me. You're an inspiration to many people who know you, who know your strength and resilience. And what does the future hold in store for Jose Hernandez?
I don't know. I just hope that I can continue to advocate for not only myself, but for those that don't have the voice that I have, and ensure that I'm there for my son, and make sure that he sees the advocate and the person that I am, and he strives to be the same, not only a voice for himself, but for those that are less fortunate than himself.
So you just had a son.
Yeah.
Your first child?
Only child. Yeah.
Only child. How long ago did you have your son?
He's 7 months old.
And when you found out that you were going to have a son, and when you saw your son for the first time, like, I imagine that must have changed your view of the world. Like, what impact did it have on you?
It was scary. It is still scary. But now, before, when you look at the world, you look at it through your own lenses and your own, I guess, self-interest. And now when you see the world, it's through his life. And it's a strange phenomenon that happens in your brain. It's like, it's no longer my world, it's his world. I don't see it through my world anymore. I see something that's inaccessible. And it's like, fine, it's inaccessible for me, but now I have to worry about his world and how is that going to affect him. And I guess even through politics and policies that our elected officials have, I don't care how they affect me now. Yes, I'm going to continue to advocate for betterment, like, for the home care workers, but I have to look at the policies that are going to affect 10 years from now and make sure that everything is, good for my son.
What name did you give your son?
His name is actually Joseph.
And what inspired that name?
His name is Joseph Matthias. So Joseph is like God adds. And I confuse it, but yes, God shall add. So Joseph is like God's gift, and then Matthias like adds. So he was like the gift of God, because I'm in my 40s and having a first child and probably going to be the only child is actually a gift from God.
And it's a gift richly deserved, and I know you're going to be an outstanding father to your son.
I hope.
So you are Bronx strong, you're Bronx tough. Like, what's your Bronx message to the public?
What is my Bronx message? Continue to fight for the right things. I'm like, there's so many things wrong in this world, but there are so many right things, and being on the right side of things and never stopping, never giving up, always continuing that Bronx strong. It would be my message, is continue to be Bronx strong. Just keep pushing forward. I've never given up, and I will never give up. So we have that Bronx grit. Just continue to grit and push forward.
Well, you've never stopped fighting. You've never given up, and you've never lost hope. So thank you for inspiring us with your Bronx Tale, and thank you for joining us at Bronx Tales.